what's up, people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Desmond Z. If this is the first time that you've ever seen me, it's time for a November wrap up, and I didn't read much. By my standards. I'll say that, by my standards, because it's not a numbers game. It's not a numbers game. It's quality over quantity. It's quality over quantity. But by my standards, my desire, my want, my need to read, it's a bit lower. I think I read like 6, 7 books. And typically I didn't read 6, 7 books in a week sometimes. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's by my standards, because it's like I want to read and I have the desire to read a lot. So when it's like my brain is not allowing me to do what I want to do. Pick up a book, it ain't working. Let's try an audiobook, it's not working. Let's try an ebook, it's not working. Let's go back to a physical book, it's still not working. I don't know what was going on in November. I couldn't read. And like, life was fine. Life was good. Life was much better than October was. But it was just like, every time I picked up a book, it was just like, my brain was like, no, I'm not processing this shit. I don't want to do this. Turn the TV on. It would have been nice if my brain said, let's write something. But, you know, it didn't want to do that. But anyway, I said all that to say 6 or 7 books in November. Let's talk about them. Starting off, 7 Exes by, what his woman name is. What her name is. Lucy Vine. 7 Exes by Lucy Vine. This book is about Esther. She is nearing 30 and she is still single. And because you know how some people are, if they ain't in love, if they ain't in a relationship, then they must be doing something wrong. Girl, there's more to life than a man. There's more to life than a man. And a woman. Don't get it, or non-binary. I mean, it's more to life than romance. So, after a bad day, Esther is like, you know, I don't know what the hell going on. I don't know what's going on. I'm supposed to have things figured out by now. I just want, where mine at? Where my lovers? I just need someone to call my lover. That's what she said. That's what Esther had said. So she is drunk in a bar one night and she comes across this old women's magazine and it's talking about how you only get, you know, 7 different types of loves in your life. And after that, it's curtains for you. You know, we have, you know, the first love and the work mistake, the overlap, all of these different types of relationships. And if you don't find the one in that mix, curtains, like I said. And she's convinced of this because it's in a magazine. And so she talks to her friends and she decides to go back, retch back up in her past and figure out, you know, which one of her past 7 loves, you know, was the one, and try to, you know, reconnect or whatever. I found this book to be actually surprisingly funny. I did not expect to laugh as much as I did. Now, like I always say, it might not be your type of humor. It made me laugh. The story kept me interested. I gave this book like a 4-star. I gave this book like 4 stars. Thought it was really good. Did not expect it to be. Had good side characters. Her 2 best friends, BB, who we don't know her actual real name. And what was the other girl name? What was that girl's name? I can't think of her other best friend. Louise. Yeah, Louise. BB and Louise. And so Esther and Louise, they don't know BB's real name. When they first met her, she introduced herself as BB, and for the longest, it's been like this running gag of them trying to guess her name for the entirety of their friendship. And so like Louise and BB are interesting characters. I enjoy them. Esther was a hoot, and yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. 7 Exes. A Woman Is No Man. I've talked about A Woman Is No Man in not my last video, but I think the video before that. I said how I was reading that. I talked about that book. So I don't need to go back over that again. I've already talked about that. So the other princess is basically about Sarah. What was this woman's name? Sarah what? What was her name? Sarah Forbes Bonetta. She was an African princess who was stolen from her homeland. After something tragic in her life happened, she's given as a gift. a human being being given as a gift to Queen Victoria after she's put on a boat with other Africans who are then about to be, sold in the slave trade. And basically, Sarah gets raised in the Queen's court. She gets to live life as not a royal, but royal adjacent. She's obviously still a black girl. She gets treated differently than everyone else around her, but she is nowhere near as bad off as to put it lightly, as other black people who were then taken from their homeland, put in chains, and made to live in inhumane conditions. So when you're reading this book, you have to kind of look at it as that this is just one person's story. It is historical fiction, so obviously there's a lot of things that didn't happen. They're not real, can't be fact checked in this book, but you have to look at it as this sole person's story. And for me, it was taking me a while to do that, because I'm like, this is not going on. This is not happening. This is not what was going on in the world. It kind of feels like painting gold over shit. How, oh, life wasn't that bad for the Negroes back then. Da 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 da. Like we've heard people say that type of stuff. Okay, good for this person who got to escape all, the horrible things that were happening to everybody else that looks like her. But it just it took me a minute to kind of like, yeah, this ain't going on. This is just not happening to everyday people. But then again, she wasn't everyday people. She was a princess. Overall, I gave the book like 3.75. I think if you want to round it up to a 4, you can, because I do definitely think it was a good book and I was interested. I think because at the end, we didn't really get to explore the things that were going on outside of this person's life. How I would have liked to seen a bit more comparison of how everyone else was living in comparison to Sarah, and how it just was, it was not the norm for everyone. And talked about, how life would be for her as another black girl in society, even in England, where, oh, we don't do that slavery like America. We've abolished that, and we're just so much better, and life is good for everyone here. We look, we love the Negroes, like that type of stuff. It kind of takes me back to Prophets that I read earlier this year, which talks about enslaved people and how outside of being enslaved, they still were able to find love with each other, find camaraderie, and find happy, joyous moments. Because even in times like now that we live in, you have to find a moment of solace. You have to find some slice of happiness in order to not go crazy in a world like this. So imagine being a black person living back then. You really, oh baby, you had to have it. You had to have it in order not to, I can't imagine. So yes, overall, I don't know how I went kind of everywhere with that, but still, The Other Princess, I do think it was an enjoyable read. I would round it up to a 4. Yeah. Same How to Be is about Akash and his mom, Renew. Renew. I want to say it correctly because it wasn't like Renew, because that actually comes up in the book. Like, that bitch said my name like I was renewed, like I was renewing the lease. But it is about Akash and Renew, and they are mother and son. Akash is our main character, I guess you could say, and he is in his late 20s. He's a gay man. He is in a relationship. It's kind of, his mom decides to sell their home, so him and his brother have to go back home, pack up the house, take whatever they want to save, sell whatever they don't. So, because she's ready to pack it up, the father has died, and she's gonna move back to London. And she's like, you know what, because I've had it here in America, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to book it. And during this time, obviously, they reminisce. Things from the past, excuse me, things from the past come up, and we deal with, him being in the closet as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, his relationship with his mom, how he always felt like she loved his brother more, and him dealing with the death of his dad and his first love and his current relationship, his best friend. It's just so many things going on in his life, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I almost DNF'd this book because it's split into 4 parts. Part 1 was boring me. Part 1 was boring me. Part 1 was boring me. And it wasn't the typical, y'all know how I do. I'm like, oh, it takes a book a minute to get going for me. No, it was kind of like, okay, I'm in this. I'm trying to see what's going on. But when is it gonna pick up? It was like one of those. It wasn't like, oh, okay, this is just the beginning. I know I got to get through this. No, it was kind of like, okay, this whole section is a drag. Baby, we got to pick it up. Pick it up. Okay? But then part 2 came, and it was just, woo! Part 2 came, and I was in it. I was in it to win it. Yeah, we really picked it up. We really picked it up. We started talking about the mom and how, you know, the marriage that she was in, it wasn't always a happy one, and she might have been feeling somebody else too. She might have had her first love she was still pining for. Okay, so we talk about that. We talk about her relationship with other people in the community. Race comes up, sexuality, and all of these different type of things. Giving up your happiness for a child, and how do you not put that on them and make them feel the brunt of that? And it talks about all those different type of things, and I was just, yeah. Also, the book is practically a love letter to R&B music. Let me tell y'all something. The amount, because the main character, he's a aspiring music producer, writer. He's trying to be in the music biz. The amount of times this author mentioned, referenced, praised, talked about Brandy. Let me tell y'all something. That woman is a gift. Okay, the throat, the voice that woman has, it's like no other. Literally, one of my favorite, top 2, and she ain't number 2, artist of all time. I didn't know he was going to talk about her the way he did. He was just praising her singing style, her riffs, her runs, her this, her that. And I was just like, oh, he got me. I was like, this is a 5-star based off of that alone. He got me. Please, how can you not? Almost Doesn't Count as one of the best songs ever written, ever recorded, ever sung. Please stop playing with her. I gave this book 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, if you can get over part 1, if you're anything like me, part 1 is kind of a bore. I'm sorry, no disrespect, no shade to the author. But yeah, after part 1, I was in it, baby. I was in it. The girl with the louding voice. My lips are dry. The girl with the louding voice. Now, I've seen this book in the bookstore time after time. And I'm not talking Cyndi Lauper. Time after time. I didn't know. Like, I had a feeling. Ooh. I know those aren't the lyrics. I know I got a feeling. But cause for me to keep going to their book, especially when I go to a specific bookstore, and it's always, like, obviously it's in that same spot, it's alphabetical order, and I just look at it and I pick it up every time. It was like it was calling my name, but I wasn't picking up the phone. I gave this book 5 stars. Aduni, 14-year-old girl living in Nigeria, and she is the only daughter, and she is not seen as worthy. She is not seen as good enough because she's not a boy. I need a son. I need my son to do this. Da, 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 da. So her older brother is seen as a prized possession. Her mom is not in the picture. She's being raised by her father. He marries her off, and she's being married to this old man who's already got 2 wives, and she went from one miserable household to the next, and she is just being treated so horribly, being beaten down physically, mentally, emotionally. And she decides, like, I have to take control of my life. I have to do something. So she does what she gotta do to make it in this world. But lo and behold, we know how life does. You take 2 steps forward, it's gonna knock your ass back 6, okay? And she just keeps getting knocked down after she continues to try to better her life. And she just needs to find her voice. She needs but she's so young, because it's at times you're just like Aduni, please. First of all, you're jumping when you shouldn't jump, girl. Just slow down. Because when you should be slowing down, Aduni, you're going too fast. And when you should be speeding up, girl, you ain't got your foot on the gas. Put your foot on the gas. And so it just like, it's frustrating at times, but then you have to remember this is a 14-year-old girl who has been emotionally and physically scarred. So it's just like, oh, you just want the best for her. And it was just, and she meets people who everybody that she comes across is not a horrible person. She gets sent some angels along her journey. And it was such a heartbreaking story, but there's also humor to it. There's a bit of levity. It isn't just, page after page of ugh. And it was just such an inspiring story. It's such an amazing story. I hate that I can't get my words out. I hate that I waited so long to read it, but I'm thankful that I did read it. It's definitely a 5-star read for me. Yeah. Also, it just felt so, yeah. Also, I know I say this a lot. But it is one of my favorite ways to read, and I have to say it. I would advise you to listen to the audio and physically read at the same time, because the narrator is one of my favorites and she does such a good job. So yeah, that's a 5-star for me. That's a 5-star for me, baby. I didn't read much, but the books that I read was doing the things. Yeah, the books that I read, it was really quality over quantity. That's mine. It was really quality over quantity. Yeah. Shout out to November. My beloved. I believe. I reread a book. I typically don't reread books. And I've had a few people say, well, when you reread a book, it's a different experience, or why don't you reread books? Well, I just have my reasons, okay? I got my reasons. I reread Anxious People by Rereading. I'm actually trying to reread several books that I've read in the past, specifically ones that I actually really enjoyed, just to see if they hit the same, and it still stands. It still stands. Although I will say, I think I was still in a bit of a funk when I was reading Anxious People. It was me trying to get back in the groove. Because that's when I wasn't reading. I went like 2 weeks where I didn't read anything, and that's unlike me. Like, that is unlike me. I'm not being dramatic. That is unlike me to not even one book in 14 days. Oh, nah, yeah. I'm getting something in. But nothing was happening. And so that was like right at the end of that period. And I was still in a bit of I'm not fully there, but I was definitely rising. I was a phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay? And if this had been me coming and saying, oh, this is my first time reading this book, it would not have been a 5-star read for me. Ooh, it hurts to say. But it would have been a 4. It ain't no less than a 4. Calm down. It ain't no less than a 4. But I'm also chalking it up to the fact that, like I just said, I was still coming up out of something. So had I read this yesterday or today, it probably would have still been 5 stars. But at the time, it was a 4 stars. So I have to be honest. I won't lie. It was a 4-star read. I feel like this time around, the issue for me was I didn't remember it taking us so long to get to the whole ensemble part of it, where everybody was in that apartment together. And I'm trying not to spoil it for people who still have not read it. But I didn't realize it took so long in the book for us to get to that point where everybody was just together, and we were there was conversation between all of them. We were hopping from person to person as far as their point of view, their story, their background. I won't say the magic is gone, but it's just like, I know what's going to happen. Obviously, there'll be things that, oh, I don't remember this, like I just said, or, oh, maybe I missed it. But for the most part, it's like, it's never actually going to be 100% the same for me. And that's just for me, okay? But yeah, Anxious People, still standing, baby. It's still standing. Frederick Bachman ain't going nowhere. I feel like I'm sweating a lot. I gotta come up out of this jacket. I gotta get out of these lights and out of this jacket because I was cold at first, but now I'm burning up. I'm hot. I'm burning up for you, baby. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's it for me. I did not read a lot to my standards, as I've said before. Just mine, not yours, not everybody else's, just mine. In November, but the books that I read were good. The books I read were good. Like, I enjoyed my literary journey as far as, you know, what I did read in November. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give the video a thumbs up. Give the video a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. Just give it a thumbs up, okay? Let me know down below what you have read in the month of November, what you're looking forward to reading. We only got one more month left. We have one more month left in 2023. These years are rolling by. Time stops for no one. That's it. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one.